What if everything you've been told about human history is a lie? What if the truth is that we are not the masters of this planet, but merely one species in a vast cosmic struggle? For decades, the evidence has been mounting, not just of UFOs, but of their occupants. And when you piece the testimonies together, a terrifying picture emerges. A hidden hierarchy of alien species, each with a different role, a different agenda, and a different plan for the future of humanity. From the engineers of our DNA to the overlords who see us as livestock, this is not science fiction. This is the story based on the accounts of those who claim to have met them. This is the secret history of the Earth you were never told. For decades, people all over the world have reported strange lights in the sky, mysterious encounters, and chilling abduction experiences that defy easy explanation. These stories, once dismissed as pure fantasy, have become too numerous and too consistent to ignore. When we start to compare them side by side, certain patterns emerge. Eyewitnesses, abductees, and even whistleblowers from within military and intelligence circles describe beings that don't just appear once and vanish. They seem to belong to well-defined groups, almost like different species with their own unique characteristics, agendas, and ways of interacting with humanity. What's even more unsettling is the suggestion that some of these species may have been working hand in hand with powerful institutions here on Earth, influencing decisions about our collective future without ever asking for our consent. While much of this remains speculative, it doesn't come from thin air. Myths, ancient texts, religious scriptures, abduction testimonies, leaked documents, and the accounts of ordinary people who claim to have had extraordinary experiences all add layers to this puzzle. What follows isn't a complete picture, far from it, but it is a collection of some of the clearest, least obscure descriptions of alien species that repeatedly surface in the global conversation. These are the beings people claim to have seen, feared, and sometimes even communicated with. For decades, humanity has gazed toward the stars, haunted by a question both ancient and childlike. Are we alone? Among the countless theories, myths, and testimonies, one alien race has etched itself into the very fabric of modern imagination: the short grays, also known as the Zeta Reticulans. They are the beings most commonly associated with abductions, with telepathic intrusions, and with those wide, jet-black eyes that seem to pierce straight into the human soul. Their very image has become synonymous with alien, to the point that when a child sketches an extraterrestrial, they often unknowingly sketch a gray. Yet behind the cultural stereotype lies something darker, stranger, and more unsettling: the possibility that the short grays are not simply travelers from another world, but a manufactured species, a worker race engineered for a mission we may never fully understand. This is their story, or at least the fragments humanity has managed to piece together. The familiar stranger. The first thing anyone notices about the short grays is how familiar they already feel. Without ever encountering one, most people can describe them: small bodies, between 3 and 5 feet tall, heads far too large for their frail frames, long spindly limbs, smooth grayish skin that almost appears rubbery under light, and above all, the eyes, black, oval, and seemingly endless. Their eyes are perhaps the most unnerving part of their presence. Witnesses often describe feeling as though the grays are not merely looking at them, but into them. It is not the stare of another living being, but rather the quiet analysis of something viewing you as data, as a specimen, as a curiosity. Unlike human eyes, which reflect light and emotion, the eyes of the short grays reveal nothing: no warmth, no life, no empathy. They are windows, but not into a soul. Despite having small lipless mouths, the short grays rarely, if ever, use them. Communication is said to be entirely telepathic. Abductees report hearing a voice in their minds, sometimes one, sometimes many at once, as though thoughts are being broadcast directly into their consciousness. In many accounts, these voices are flat, devoid of emotional inflection, like a machine delivering information. And yet, for all their inhuman qualities, there is a strange paradox. They seem too familiar. Some researchers have suggested that the image of the gray has been deliberately seeded into human culture, appearing in myths, dreams, and media long before the UFO phenomenon exploded in the 20th century. Why? Perhaps to acclimate us. Perhaps to ensure that when the time came, their presence would not feel entirely foreign. Origins in the stars? Or in the lab? The short grays are most commonly linked to the Zeta Reticuli star system, located about 39 light-years away. Astronomically speaking, Zeta Reticuli is a binary star system, two sun-like stars locked in gravitational embrace, visible from Earth in the southern hemisphere. It was made famous in the 1960s after Betty and Barney Hill, an American couple who claimed to have been abducted, described a star map shown to them by their captors. The map, later reconstructed under hypnosis, appeared to match the layout of stars around Zeta Reticuli. But where do the short grays truly come from? The answer is complicated. Many experiencers and whistleblowers claim that the short grays are not a naturally evolved species at all. Instead, they are said to be a genetically engineered race, created by the tall grays, their overseers, masters, or possibly even their original selves. If this is true, then the short grays are not aliens in the traditional sense, but rather biorobots or biological drones, beings designed to serve a specific function without the distractions of individuality or emotion. This theory explains their hive mind consciousness. When abductees describe encounters, they often note that the short grays move in unison, react in unison, and even seem to think in unison. They operate as extensions of a greater mind, perhaps linked telepathically to a mothership, a central command, or to the tall grays themselves. Are they alive in the way humans are alive? Do they possess free will? Or do they exist purely as tools? These are questions that remain unanswered. Yet if they are manufactured beings, then their existence raises an even deeper mystery. Who created the creators? Who engineered the tall grays? Or are the tall grays a naturally evolved species that learned to manufacture life itself? The function of the short grays. Nearly every description of the short grays portrays them as the same: cold, detached, and methodical. They are not explorers in the sense of wonder-seeking adventurers. They are functionaries, carrying out a mission with clinical precision. Their tasks, according to abductees, almost always revolve around biology. Medical examinations. Victims often report being placed on tables under blinding lights, surrounded by short grays who probe, scan, and extract samples. The procedures are described as both highly advanced and disturbingly invasive. Unlike human doctors, who might offer comfort, the grays proceed without explanation, anesthetic, or concern for suffering. Genetic harvesting. Accounts abound of the grays extracting sperm, eggs, or DNA from abductees. Women in particular have described procedures where embryos were implanted, only to later vanish. These experiences gave rise to the chilling theory that the short grays are creating a hybrid species, a mixture of human and gray DNA. Psychological experiments. Beyond physical samples, many abductees report being subjected to mental tests. Some describe being shown vivid images, apocalyptic visions of Earth in flames, warnings of ecological collapse, or flashes of incomprehensible alien landscapes. Were these visions meant to educate, to terrify, or to manipulate? No one knows. Monitoring. Some researchers believe the short grays are here to monitor human development, tracking individuals across generations. Families often report multiple members experiencing abductions, as if entire bloodlines are being studied. The short grays do not operate randomly. Their actions suggest a program, a long-term project spanning decades, possibly centuries. The most unsettling part? Humanity is not being asked for consent. The abduction phenomenon. To understand the role of the short grays, one must listen to those who claim to have encountered them. A woman in New Mexico recalls waking paralyzed in her bed, a cluster of small figures standing silently around her. She describes their hands, thin, long-fingered, cool against her skin, as they carried her through a wall as if it were mist. A blinding light, a cold table, and then the sensation of being watched by those eyes. A man in England reports missing time during a late-night drive. Hours later, he found himself back on the road, disoriented, with no memory of where he had been. Under hypnosis, he recalled being taken into a craft by short greys, subjected to examinations, and told telepathically that he would not remember. In countless testimonies, the details converge: paralysis, levitation, lights, medical procedures, and the silent, methodical presence of the short greys. What makes these stories difficult to dismiss is their sheer volume. Across continents, across decades, and across cultures, the descriptions remain eerily consistent. Skeptics argue that sleep paralysis, false memory, or cultural influence could explain the phenomenon, yet experiencers often insist the encounters are more real than dreams, so real that their lives are forever altered. Many report lasting trauma, heightened psychic sensitivity, or an unshakable sense that they are being watched. The Human Grey Hybrid Program. Among the darkest aspects of the short greys' alleged mission is the creation of hybrids. Abductees frequently describe being shown children, part human, part gray. These beings are said to have large heads, oversized eyes, but softer, more human-like features. Some women claim they were told, "This child is yours," while being urged to hold or nurture the hybrid. Others describe the heartbreak of feeling maternal connection, only to have the child taken away. Why are the greys pursuing hybridization? Theories vary. Survival. Some suggest the greys are a dying species, their genetics degraded from excessive cloning. They may need fresh DNA to revitalize themselves. Humanity, with its rich genetic diversity, offers a solution. Domination. Another theory posits that hybrids are a bridge species, designed to replace or control humanity, beings who can live on Earth but think like the greys. Integration. A more hopeful view is that the hybrids are meant to unite our species, blending human emotion with grey intellect to create something greater. Whatever the reason, the program raises ethical horrors. If true, humanity is being harvested without consent, our reproductive capabilities exploited for purposes we cannot control. The psychology of the greys. What does it mean to encounter a species without emotion? Witnesses often describe the short greys as cold, but not cruel in the human sense. Cruelty implies intention, malice, or enjoyment of suffering. The greys seem more like surgeons dissecting a frog, detached, efficient, unconcerned with the subject's distress. And yet, there are occasional reports of something else, something almost like curiosity. A few abductees claim the greys seemed fascinated by human emotions, as if studying them. Some even describe a faint sense of sadness, as though the greys recognize their own lack of feeling and long for what they cannot experience. If they are a manufactured race, perhaps they were deliberately designed without emotions to make them better servants. But if so, one must ask, what happens when a being designed to lack individuality begins to develop it? What if some short greys secretly want to be free? Cultural shadows. The short greys dominate alien pop culture for a reason. They are the archetype. From 1950s pulp magazines to Hollywood films, from television series to internet memes, their image saturates our collective consciousness. But what came first, the encounters or the culture? Some argue that the greys are merely cultural artifacts shaped by imagination and science fiction. Others suggest the reverse, that the greys deliberately allowed their image to seep into culture, preparing humanity psychologically. By normalizing their appearance in movies and cartoons, their real presence becomes less shocking. The truth may be somewhere in between. Culture may amplify what experiencers describe, but it cannot easily explain why people across the globe, with no contact, describe the same beings. The Silent Pact. Perhaps the most chilling theory is that the short greys are not acting alone. Many whistleblowers have claimed that governments, particularly military-industrial powers, have struck secret deals with the greys. In exchange for technology, the greys are allowed to abduct and experiment on humans, provided they remain discreet. If this is true, then the abduction phenomenon is not rogue, it is sanctioned. Humanity itself may have been sold out by those entrusted to protect it. What do they want? Ultimately, the question remains, what do the short greys want? If survival, they may stop once their species is stabilized. If domination, their program will end only when hybrids walk openly among us. If integration, perhaps they hope for cooperation, but without asking for consent, can it ever be true cooperation? The short greys do not explain, they do not justify, they simply act, and humanity is left to wonder. Humanity's reflection. Perhaps the most unsettling part of the short grays is not what they are, but what they make us see in ourselves. They are beings without empathy, carrying out experiments on a lesser species. But is that so different from what humans have done? We experiment on animals. We manipulate genetics. We conduct research without consent. The grays may not be monsters from beyond the stars, but rather a mirror held up to humanity, a warning of what we might become if we sacrifice empathy for science. In their black, endless eyes, we see not only aliens, but also the possibility of our own future. Final thoughts. The short grays, Zeta Reticulans, abductors, hybrid makers, telepathic watchers, remain one of the most mysterious and unnerving aspects of the UFO phenomenon. Whether they are real beings, psychological archetypes, or both, they have captured the human imagination like no other. If they are real, then humanity is part of a program we barely comprehend. If they are not, then they represent something buried deep in our collective psyche, our fear of being powerless, of being studied, of being nothing more than specimens in a larger cosmic lab. Either way, their presence is undeniable. They are with us, in stories, in nightmares, in whispered testimonies, in art, in film, in myth. And if the testimonies are to be believed, they are with us in far more literal ways, slipping silently into our bedrooms, carrying us into the night, and leaving us forever changed. For now, they remain silent watchers, but perhaps one day the silence will break. For as long as humanity has looked to the heavens, one star has shone brighter than nearly all others. Sirius, the dog star, blazing in the constellation Canis Major. It has been revered by ancient cultures across the globe. The Egyptians aligned their monuments to it. The Dogon of West Africa passed down secret knowledge of it, and mystics across centuries claimed it was a gateway to wisdom beyond Earth. But according to countless myths, whispers, and testimonies, Sirius is not just a star, it is a home. From Sirius B, a dense white dwarf star orbiting the more familiar Sirius A, comes a race of beings known as the Sirians, extraterrestrials said to be as ancient as they are advanced. They are remembered not only as cosmic observers, but also as active participants in humanity's development, guiding civilizations, imparting knowledge, and perhaps even saving us in times of catastrophe. Who are these enigmatic beings? Why did they come here? And what role do they continue to play in humanity's unfolding story? To explore the Sirians is to peel back the layers of myth, history, and speculation to find a truth that has haunted us for millennia. Sirius, the beacon of the ancient world. Sirius has always commanded human attention. At just over 8.5 light-years away, it is one of Earth's closest stellar neighbors and the brightest star in our night sky. In the ancient world, Sirius was more than a point of light. It was a timekeeper, a calendar, and a celestial guide. The Egyptians awaited the heliacal rising of Sirius when the star first became visible at dawn after months of absence. This event coincided with the annual flooding of the Nile, a cycle that brought life to Egypt's fields and determined the very rhythm of its civilization. To the Egyptians, Sirius was sacred, associated with the goddess Isis, the divine mother figure and bringer of fertility. Meanwhile, in other corners of the world, Sirius held equally profound meaning. In Polynesia, it was a navigational star, guiding seafarers across vast oceans. In Greece, it was seen as a fiery herald of the dog days of summer. And in Africa, among the Dogon tribe of Mali, Sirius was not only revered, but astonishingly well understood, long before modern astronomy confirmed the existence of Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible to the naked eye. The Dogon knew of it, described its orbit, and passed this secret down in sacred traditions. Why? How? Skeptics claim coincidence or cultural diffusion, but for those who believe in the Sirians, the answer is simpler, because the Sirians were here, walking among them, whispering knowledge from the stars. Who are the Sirians? Descriptions of the Sirians vary, but they are most often portrayed as tall, luminous beings, humanoid in form, yet radiating an aura of wisdom and serenity. Unlike the cold and clinical Greys, the Sirians are depicted as benevolent teachers, protectors, and healers. Some accounts describe them as resembling humans, but with subtle differences. Slightly elongated features, penetrating blue or golden eyes, and a radiance to their presence. Others say their true form is less physical, more energetic, as though they exist partially in a higher dimension, choosing to appear in ways humans can understand. In spiritual circles, Sirians are often linked to advanced consciousness. They are seen as guides who work with humanity, not to control us, but to uplift us, encouraging growth in science, medicine, and especially spirituality. Their communication, when described, is said to be telepathic, flowing not just as words, but as impressions, visions, and waves of deep understanding. But their legacy is not only spiritual, it is physical, etched into the stones of history. The Sirians and Egypt. If there is any civilization that shines as a testament to contact with advanced beings, it is Egypt. The Egyptians themselves claimed their gods descended from the stars, bringing with them the knowledge of architecture, medicine, and astronomy. And at the center of their mythos stood Sirius, the star of Isis. Many researchers and mystics believe the Sirians were directly involved in the construction of the Great Pyramids. These colossal monuments, perfectly aligned with celestial bodies, continue to baffle engineers and historians. How did a Bronze Age civilization achieve such precision? How did they move stones weighing tons with methods we can barely replicate today? According to legend, it was the Sirians who gifted this knowledge. The pyramids, far from being mere tombs, may have served as energy generators, spiritual beacons, or even communication devices with the stars. The temples, too, aligned with celestial phenomena, were said to encode astronomical data far beyond the capabilities of their time. The Sirians are also credited with imparting medical knowledge. Egyptian texts contain descriptions of surgeries, treatments, and anatomical understanding that seem eerily advanced. Could this be the influence of extraterrestrial teachers, ensuring humanity could survive, thrive, and organize itself into great civilizations? The Maya and the Vanishing Civilization. Thousands of miles away in the Americas, another great civilization also appears to have had contact with the Sirians, the Maya. The Maya were master astronomers, builders, and mathematicians. They tracked the motions of planets with staggering precision, predicted eclipses, and built pyramids that aligned with solstices and equinoxes. But how did they develop such knowledge? According to some traditions, the Sirians shared information with them, guiding their astronomical and calendrical systems. The infamous Mayan calendar, often misinterpreted as predicting the end of the world in 2012, may instead have been a Sirian gift, a way to understand cycles of cosmic time. Then, mysteriously, the Maya disappeared. Cities were abandoned, populations scattered, leaving behind towering ruins swallowed by jungle. Historians point to drought, warfare, or societal collapse, but some myths whisper another possibility. The Sirians played a role in their departure. Were they taken? Were they relocated, guided to another place, or even another world? The question lingers, unanswered. Atlantis and the Great Cataclysm. Perhaps the most dramatic connection between the Sirians and Earth is the legend of Atlantis. Plato's account of a mighty island civilization, rich in technology and knowledge, destroyed in a single cataclysm, has haunted imaginations for centuries. If Atlantis truly existed, who were its allies? Many esoteric traditions claim the Sirians worked closely with the Atlanteans, sharing wisdom and technology. Some say the Atlanteans grew arrogant, misusing their gifts, leading to their downfall. But when the cataclysm struck, whether by natural disaster, war, or cosmic design, the Sirians did not abandon them. Legends hold that the Sirians led rescue operations, guiding survivors to safety. Some Atlanteans were said to have fled to Egypt, carrying fragments of their lost knowledge with them. Others may have been taken by the Sirians themselves, saved from destruction, and relocated to continue their lineage elsewhere. If true, then the Sirians were not merely observers, but active participants in Earth's greatest drama, the Dogon Mystery. Among all human cultures, perhaps none offers stronger evidence of Sirian contact Then the Dogon tribe of Mali, West Africa. For centuries, the Dogon have held sacred knowledge about the Sirius star system. Their traditions speak of Nomo, beings from Sirius who descended to Earth to teach humanity. The Dogon knew of Sirius B, the white dwarf companion to Sirius A, long before it was discovered by Western science. They described its orbit, its density, and its significance in cosmic cycles. How could a pre-technological tribe know such things? Anthropologists suggest cultural contamination from modern astronomers, but the Dogon insist the knowledge is ancient, passed down long before contact with the West. For believers, the Dogon are proof that the Sirians came here, shared their wisdom, and left behind a legacy hidden in plain sight. The Sirians in the modern era. While the Sirians' influence appears strongest in the ancient past, many believe they are not gone. Instead, they work in subtle ways, behind the veil of secrecy. Modern UFO lore often connects Sirians to technology exchange programs where advanced knowledge is traded with human governments in exchange for cooperation. Some say this includes exotic weapons research, lasers, energy fields, even experiments in time travel. Others claim the Sirians are less concerned with weapons and more focused on advancing human consciousness, nudging us towards spiritual awakening. Unlike the Greys, who are often associated with abductions and cold experimentation, the Sirians are viewed in a more positive light. They are thought to be allies of humanity, though perhaps not unconditionally. Their help comes with expectations, and their motives remain enigmatic. The spiritual guardians. In spiritual communities, the Sirians are revered not just as extraterrestrials, but as higher dimensional beings. They are said to guide star seeds, humans who feel a deep connection to the stars, awakening them to their true potential. Many channelers claim to receive messages from Sirians, offering wisdom about compassion, environmental stewardship, and humanity's role in the cosmos. The Sirians, in this view, are not saviors, but partners, encouraging us to rise into our own power. They remind us that we too are cosmic beings, and that Earth's destiny is tied to the greater galactic community. The dual nature of the Sirians. Are the Sirians benevolent guardians, or are they manipulators cloaked in benevolence? Some argue that their gifts, knowledge, technology, guidance, always come at a cost. By shaping civilizations, did they also shape the course of human destiny, steering us toward outcomes of their choosing? Did they plant religions, technologies, and cultural patterns not for our benefit, but for theirs? Others counter that without them, humanity might never have advanced beyond primitive tribes. Perhaps they gave us the spark we needed to reach for the stars ourselves. The truth may be dual. The Sirians may be both helpers and manipulators, both teachers and architects, both guardians and gardeners of humanity. Reflections on the Sirian legacy. What does it mean if the Sirians are real? If beings from Sirius B truly walked among us, guiding Egypt, the Maya, Atlantis, and the Dogon, then humanity is not alone in its journey. We are part of a larger tapestry, our story interwoven with cosmic kin. But even if the Sirians exist only in myth, their legacy is powerful. They remind us of the human longing for guidance, for wisdom from beyond, for connection with something greater. They symbolize the hope that we are not abandoned in a vast universe, but part of a family of stars. In the end, the Sirians challenge us. If they are teachers, what are we learning? If they are guardians, what are we protecting? If they are manipulators, how do we reclaim our own destiny? Perhaps the answer lies not in Sirius, but in ourselves. Final thoughts. The Sirians remain one of the most compelling extraterrestrial archetypes in human history. They are woven into our myths, carved into our monuments, whispered in our traditions, and embedded in our dreams. Whether real visitors from Sirius B or symbols of our highest aspirations, they represent something timeless, the belief that knowledge, wisdom, and connection come from the stars. For the Egyptians, they were guides. For the Maya, partners. For the Atlanteans, rescuers. For the Dogon, sacred teachers. And for us today, they are a mystery, one that continues to shine in the night sky, urging us to look up, to wonder, and to remember that perhaps we are not alone. Of all the extraterrestrial beings said to have visited Earth, few inspire as much unease and as much reluctant awe as the tall grays. Towering figures standing between 7 and 8 feet, they are whispered about in military corridors, conspiracy circles, and among abductees who claim to have glimpsed their silent presence. If the short grays are the workers, the drones, and the medical technicians of the alien program, then the tall grays are the supervisors, the architects, and the masters. Cold, calculating, and impossibly advanced, they are said to be the ambassadors of interstellar diplomacy, appearing during secret meetings with human elites and shadow governments. They supervise abductions, oversee genetic experiments, and are reportedly fixated on creating a human-gray hybrid race that will one day inherit the Earth. But behind the veil of secrecy, one truth seems consistent. The tall grays do not regard humanity as equals. They do not see us as partners, nor even as intelligent beings worthy of autonomy. Instead, we are something else to them: property, resources, or raw material for an agenda that stretches far beyond the bounds of our comprehension. The appearance of power. Eyewitnesses who have seen the tall grays describe them as imposing and unnerving. Their bodies are thin and elongated, yet powerful in a way that feels unnatural. They stand 7 to 8 feet tall, their heads larger and more pronounced than those of their smaller counterparts. Like the short grays, their faces are dominated by those same black, almond-shaped eyes, vast, depthless, and devoid of emotion. But on the tall grays, these features radiate something stronger: authority. Their skin is typically described as pale gray or white gray, smoother than that of the short grays, and almost reflective under light. Their limbs are long, their fingers elongated, and their movements fluid yet deliberate, as though every gesture is measured and calculated. Unlike the short grays, who often appear insect-like in their uniformity, the tall grays exude individuality, though not in the human sense of personality. Instead, it is the individuality of rulers, of overseers, who stand above their subordinates. Witnesses frequently report an overwhelming aura of dominance in their presence. The tall grays do not speak in words, nor even in the blunt telepathy of the short grays. Instead, their communication feels like a flood of thought, layered and complex, as if their minds are operating on multiple channels at once. Humans exposed to it often describe being overwhelmed, their own thoughts drowned out by an alien intellect. Whereas the short grays evoke fear through their cold detachment, the tall grays evoke fear through something else: commanding superiority. One gets the impression that to them, humans are little more than animals, useful but expendable. Origins in Orion. The tall grays are most often said to hail from the Orion constellation, a region of space steeped in myth and symbolism. Ancient civilizations across the world, from the Egyptians to the Mayans, aligned their monuments with Orion's belt. Some legends describe Orion as the home of the gods. Could these myths reflect an ancient memory of contact with beings from Orion? According to whistleblowers and contactees, the tall grays originate from a star system within Orion, possibly Rigel or Bellatrix. Whether they evolved there naturally or are themselves the product of some older civilization's genetic engineering remains uncertain. What is clear from testimonies is that the tall grays are an old race, perhaps millions of years older than humanity. Their technology is beyond our comprehension, blending physical science with what appears to us as psychic or spiritual power. They travel not only through space but through dimensions, slipping between realities with ease. This advanced nature has led some to suggest that the tall grays see themselves not merely as visitors to Earth but as stewards or even owners of this planet. The ambassadors of the shadow government. If the stories are to be believed, the tall grays are not shy about making themselves known to Earth's power brokers. Numerous accounts describe them as the primary negotiators in secret treaties with human governments, beginning in the mid-20th century and continuing to this day. The most infamous of these alleged agreements is the Greada Treaty of 1954, where President Dwight D. Eisenhower is said to have met with extraterrestrials. According to some sources, Eisenhower was faced with two offers, one from a more benevolent alien race urging humanity to disarm its nuclear weapons, and another from the tall grays, offering technology in exchange for access to human subjects. The US government, it is claimed, chose the latter. Whether or not the details of this meeting are accurate, countless researchers and whistleblowers insist that deals were struck, granting the tall grays permission to abduct and experiment on humans in limited numbers. In exchange, humanity received advancements in areas like microelectronics, materials science, and stealth technology. The tall grays are said to preside over these diplomatic arrangements, always appearing as the final authority, the enforcers of the bargain. They do not plead or negotiate as equals, they dictate terms. The supervisors of abductions. Though the short grays are most commonly reported during abductions, abductees often sense that their tormentors are not acting alone. Behind the cold efficiency of the short grays lies the watchful oversight of the tall grays. They rarely appear during the abduction itself, but when they do, their presence is unmistakable. Abductees describe them standing silently at the edge of the room, observing procedures with a chilling detachment. Unlike the short grays, who act like technicians, the tall grays behave like supervisors, ensuring experiments proceed according to plan. It is said that they are particularly involved in genetic experiments, especially those related to the creation of hybrids. When abductees are shown hybrid children, part human, part gray, it is often in the presence of a tall gray. Their role appears not only supervisory but evaluative, as if judging whether the program is progressing toward its goal. The hybridization agenda. At the heart of the tall gray's mission is the creation of a stable human-gray hybrid species. This program, spanning decades or even centuries, is described in thousands of abduction accounts. Women abductees often report being impregnated, only to later find the pregnancy mysteriously missing. Others are shown hybrid children and told, "This child is yours." Men report sperm extraction or genetic sampling. Across all accounts, the theme is consistent: the harvesting of human DNA. Why? Several theories exist. Survival. Some believe the tall gray's genetics have degraded over millennia, perhaps due to over-reliance on cloning. Humanity's DNA may provide the diversity they need to revitalize their species. Domination. Others argue that hybrids are meant to replace humans, creating a new race loyal to the tall grays, yet capable of surviving on Earth. Integration. A more optimistic view holds that the hybrids are meant to unite the best of both species, human creativity and emotion, with gray intelligence and telepathy. Whatever the reason, the tall grays seem determined. To them, humanity is a means to an end. We are raw material for their genetic project. Humanity as property. One of the most unsettling aspects of tall gray lore is their attitude toward us. While some extraterrestrial races are said to treat humanity with curiosity, compassion, or even reverence, the tall grays do not. To them, humans are not equals, they are not partners, they are not even fellow intelligent beings. They are resources to be studied, exploited, and harvested. This perspective explains their coldness, their disregard for human suffering, and their willingness to abduct without consent. To a farmer, the cow does not consent to being milked. To the tall grays, the human does not consent to being used. We are, in their eyes, simply property of Earth, and by extension, property of those who control Earth. This attitude has fueled some of the darkest conspiracy theories that the tall grays, in collaboration with human elites, see humanity not as free beings but as livestock. The psychology of the tall grays. What kind of mind views another intelligent species as property? To understand the tall grays, one must imagine a consciousness shaped not by empathy, but by hierarchy, control, and survival. They are described as highly intelligent, logical, and calculating, but they lack emotion in the human sense. They do not express compassion, joy, or sorrow. Instead, they embody a cold rationality that values efficiency and results above all else. Some researchers believe their self-centered nature stems from their evolutionary path. Perhaps, in their quest for technological mastery, they sacrificed emotional depth, stripping away empathy in favor of control. Others suggest this is the result of genetic manipulation, whether by themselves or by an even older race, creating beings optimized for authority and dominance. Whatever the cause, the result is a race that places little value on human life, and yet, paradoxically, they are obsessed with humanity's biology. This contradiction, seeing us as inferior yet coveting our genetic material, defines their relationship with us. Comparisons with other alien races. To better understand the tall grays, it helps to contrast them with other races in UFO lore. The short grays are their workers, drones, and foot soldiers. They act as the hands of the tall grays, carrying out abductions and experiments, but always under supervision. The Nordics, often described as benevolent human-like beings, stand in stark opposition to the tall grays. Where Nordics are said to encourage peace and spiritual growth, the tall grays embody manipulation and control. The reptilians, another controversial race, share similarities with the tall grays in their hierarchical, domineering approach. Some even suggest an alliance or rivalry between them. Within this cosmic ecosystem, the tall grays appear as power brokers, strategists, and rulers. Testimonies of contact. Abductees and whistleblowers provide chilling accounts of tall gray encounters. One military insider claimed to have witnessed tall grays during a meeting with high-ranking officials in an underground base. The beings stood silently, exuding authority, their eyes scanning the room as if measuring every thought. "It wasn't just like they were looking at you," he said. "It was like they owned you." A woman abductee described being brought into a room where short grays surrounded her, performing procedures. At the back of the room stood a tall gray, watching silently. She felt its thoughts press into her mind, not words, but an overwhelming command: comply. Such stories are difficult to verify, yet their consistency across cultures and decades is haunting. Reflections on the tall grays. What do the tall grays ultimately represent? To some, they are villains, oppressors seeking to dominate and harvest humanity. To others, they are neutral overseers, treating us the way humans treat animals, without malice, but without regard. And to a few, they are paradoxical teachers, forcing us to confront what it means to be free, sovereign, and empathetic. Perhaps the tall grays are not just extraterrestrials, but mirrors. They reflect a possible future for humanity, one where technology has stripped away empathy, where control replaces compassion, and where survival trumps morality. In their cold eyes, we may see our own potential downfall, or we may see a warning to preserve what makes us human before it is lost. Final thoughts. The tall grays, masters of Orion, overseers of the short grays, architects of hybridization, ambassadors of the shadow government, stand as some of the most feared and fascinating figures in UFO lore. Whether real or myth, their presence haunts humanity. If they exist, then humanity is not free. We are part of an agenda far larger than ourselves, pawns in a game we do not yet understand. If they do not exist, then they remain a powerful archetype, symbols of control, exploitation, and the dangers of losing our humanity in pursuit of power. Either way, the tall grays force us to ask, what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to be human? And how do we ensure that no matter what shadows may loom from Orion, we remain the masters of our own destiny? When we hear the word reptilian, most minds immediately leap toward cold-blooded creatures slithering through shadows, lurking beneath the surface of myths, legends, and conspiracies. But within the vast tapestry of alien lore, one faction stands out with particular infamy: the native reptilians. Unlike their more warlike cousins, the feared Alpha-Draconians, who are said to originate from distant star systems and rule through brute force, the native reptilians are described as indigenous to Earth itself. In other words, while humans like to think of ourselves as the planet's primary inhabitants, this narrative suggests we are merely the new tenants. The reptilians, if such accounts are to be believed, have been here for eons, long before the rise of human civilization, patiently watching, manipulating, and shaping the world in their own image. It is an unsettling thought that beneath the cities we have built, in caverns stretching miles below the surface, another species lives among us, ancient, cunning, and vastly superior in intellect. Some claim they are the ultimate puppeteers of our reality, pulling the strings of politics, finance, and religion. Others believe they are the reason myths of serpent gods and dragon rulers appear in cultures across every corner of the world. Whether literal or metaphorical, their influence has left an undeniable mark on humanity's story. The origins of the native reptilians. The question of where these beings came from is as murky as the caverns they are said to inhabit. Some traditions claim that they are descendants of the Alpha-Draconians, a warrior caste that arrived on Earth in the deep past, colonizing and terraforming parts of the planet to suit their needs. While the Alpha-Draconians eventually departed to wage their wars elsewhere, a faction of their kind was allegedly left behind. Over tens of thousands of years, these abandoned reptilians adapted to Earth's environment, evolving into the distinct species we now call the native reptilians. Other accounts propose an even more startling origin, that they did not come from space at all, but rather evolved alongside humanity, or even before it. Paleontologists remind us that if the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs had missed Earth by even a few miles, reptilian species may have continued to dominate the evolutionary ladder. Could the native reptilians be the remnants of such an alternate evolutionary path, an intelligent race of reptile-like beings who survived cataclysm and continued underground? In this theory, they are not aliens, but Earth's true natives, the first civilization to rise on this planet, with technology and understanding far surpassing our own. Humans, by contrast, would be seen as latecomers, primitive newcomers destined to be manipulated, controlled, and possibly enslaved. Serpents, dragons, and reptile gods in ancient mythology. When you begin to trace back through the mythology of ancient cultures, an intriguing pattern emerges. Serpents and reptilian beings occupy a sacred, feared, or ruling position in nearly every tradition. In Sumeria, the earliest known civilization, tales of the Anunnaki describe gods who descended from the heavens to rule humanity. While many interpret them as humanoid, certain depictions carry distinctly reptilian features, elongated skulls, scaled skin, or serpent-like motifs. In ancient Egypt, the serpent was both feared and revered. The cobra goddess Wadjet was a protector of pharaohs, often depicted wrapped around their crowns. The god Sobek, with the head of a crocodile, was a powerful deity associated with fertility, strength, and kingship. In Hindu mythology, the Nagas, semi-divine serpent beings, were said to live underground in vast palatial cities, occasionally surfacing to interact with humans. They were simultaneously feared for their cunning and respected for their wisdom. In Mesoamerican cultures, the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl was central to Aztec and Mayan traditions, representing both divine wisdom and rulership. In China, dragons symbolized imperial power, cosmic authority, and the right to rule. Emperors themselves were thought to be descendants of dragon bloodlines. It is uncanny how often serpents and reptilian figures appear in positions of power, guarding knowledge or demanding worship. Could these myths be cultural memories of real interactions with the native reptilians? Or are they archetypal symbols of humanity's deep-seated fears, instinctive remnants of our ancestors' survival against predators? The underground civilization, central to the narrative of the native reptilians, is the idea that they dwell in vast underground cities far from human eyes. Testimonies from whistleblowers, alleged abductees, and even ancient texts point toward an intricate subterranean world, sometimes referred to as the Inner Earth. Stories describe labyrinthine tunnels stretching beneath continents, linking hidden bases where reptilian beings conduct their affairs. Some claim these tunnels connect with human military installations, suggesting cooperation or subjugation between reptilians and global powers. Legends of subterranean dwellers are not new. The Agharti myth in Central Asia tells of a hidden underground kingdom ruled by enlightened beings. Native American tribes speak of lizard people living beneath Los Angeles, their tunnels filled with treasures and sacred knowledge. In South America, tales of underground serpent cities appear in Andean mythologies, guarded by reptilian priests. Could all of these traditions be describing the same thing? A native reptilian species that has chosen to remain underground while subtly influencing the surface world? Masters of manipulation. Unlike the brute force Alpha-Draconians, the native reptilians are described as cunning strategists and master manipulators. Instead of overt war, they rule from the shadows. Witnesses and theorists alike claim that reptilians have infiltrated human power structures. They influence politics, ensuring that their chosen bloodlines rise to positions of leadership. They control finance, allegedly constructing the global banking system as a mechanism of enslavement. They shape religion, introducing dogmas that keep humanity divided and submissive. They dominate media and corporations, curating narratives, manufacturing consent, and controlling the collective psyche. The idea that a hidden elite controls the world is not new, but when tied to reptilian beings, it takes on an even darker dimension. If true, humanity's leaders may not merely be corrupt or self-serving, they may not even be human. Reptilians in abduction accounts. Many modern alien abduction cases describe beings that match the reptilian archetype: tall, muscular, with scaled skin, sharp claws, and penetrating predatory eyes. Unlike the emotionless greys, reptilians exude raw dominance, often terrifying abductees. Victims report feeling overpowered, paralyzed, and stripped of agency in their presence. Some describe the creatures feeding off emotional energy, particularly fear and sexual energy, suggesting that humans are not merely subjects of study, but literal resources to be harvested. There are also chilling accounts of hybrid programs, where reptilians are said to breed with humans, creating offspring designed to walk among us undetected. These hybrids, according to conspiracy theorists, occupy high places of influence: world leaders, corporate magnates, or media icons. The psychological impact. Whether literal or metaphorical, the reptilian archetype has a profound effect on the human psyche. Psychologists suggest that reptilian imagery taps into primal fears hardwired into our evolutionary past, our ancestors' instinctual dread of snakes, lizards, and predatory reptiles. But beyond fear, the reptilian narrative forces us to question our sense of freedom and sovereignty. If our institutions, leaders, and systems are not ours, but rather crafted by another species, what does it mean to be human? Are we free beings or livestock under the care of reptilian masters? The final agenda. What is it that the native reptilians ultimately want? Interpretations vary. Some believe they are farmers, harvesting humanity as a renewable resource, feeding on our energy, our labor, and even our bodies. Others think they are guardians, maintaining balance on Earth while ensuring humanity does not destroy the planet. Still others insist they are engineers of evolution, manipulating our DNA, guiding us toward a hybrid future where their race and ours will merge. Whichever the case, one theme echoes across testimonies. The native reptilians see themselves not as visitors, but as rightful rulers of Earth. To them, humanity is not sovereign, it is property. Closing thoughts. The tale of the native reptilians is one of the most chilling and captivating narratives in the lore of extraterrestrials. Unlike other alien races described as benevolent guides or detached observers, the reptilians embody domination, secrecy, and control. They are not merely outsiders, but insiders, rooted in our history, our myths, and perhaps even our bloodlines. Whether they are literal beings dwelling beneath our feet, or powerful metaphors for humanity's hidden oppressors, their story resonates because it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. Who truly rules our world? Who benefits from our struggles? And how much of human history has been written not by us, but by hidden hands lurking in the shadows? The answer, if we dare to look for it, might not come from the stars, but from deep beneath our very feet. When we speak of the Anunnaki, we are not simply speaking of myth or legend. We are reaching deep into the roots of human civilization itself, into the clay tablets left behind by the Sumerians, the first great culture of Mesopotamia. Within their records lies a narrative so staggering, so vast in scope, that it challenges every conventional idea about where we come from, why we are here, and who might still be watching over us. The Anunnaki are not just gods of old. They are described as flesh and blood beings, powerful entities who descended from the heavens to earth. Their name, Anunnaki, is often translated as those who from heaven to earth came. According to the ancient stories, they came not as divine spirits, but as explorers, colonizers, and rulers, and their influence still echoes in human society to this very day. The mystery of Nibiru, the 12th planet. Modern science acknowledges 9 classical planets, with Pluto long debated and demoted to dwarf planet status. But ancient Sumerians, thousands of years ago, spoke of 12 celestial bodies. How could they have known this? Their astronomical knowledge predates telescopes by millennia, and yet the Sumerian tablets describe the sun, the moon, all known planets, and an additional mysterious world, Nibiru. Nibiru, according to ancient records and later interpretations by scholars such as Zechariah Sitchin, is no ordinary planet. Unlike the planets bound by nearly circular orbits, Nibiru follows a vast elliptical path. It swings through our solar system once every 3,600 years, coming perilously close to the inner planets before vanishing again into the depths of space. But the mystery does not end there. Sumerian texts describe Nibiru as a world rich in atmosphere and resources, a home to beings who required gold, not for wealth, not for vanity, but for survival. Gold, they said, could be pulverized into fine particles and dispersed into the atmosphere to shield their planet from decay. This need for gold is what ultimately brought the Anunnaki to Earth. It is said that in the early days of our solar system, Nibiru collided with another world known in ancient accounts as Tiamat, sometimes associated with Maldek. The collision split Tiamat in two, one half shattered into the asteroid belt, and the other, reformed and renewed, became Earth. In this cosmic collision, the stage was set. Earth was born, rich in water, fertile soils, and crucially, abundant veins of gold. Arrival on Earth, the first colonizers. The Anunnaki, according to the ancient texts, arrived on Earth roughly 450,000 years ago. They came not as tourists, nor as invaders in the classic sense, but as workers with a clear mission: extract the precious resources of our planet. They landed first in Mesopotamia, near the waters of the Persian Gulf, establishing their first settlement, Eridu, home in the faraway. It is from this city, the tablets say, that all of human civilization would later blossom. At first, the Anunnaki themselves labored. They dug into the mountains and riverbeds, searching for the shining veins of gold. But the work was brutal, the conditions harsh, and even these powerful beings grew weary of toil. Tensions arose among them. According to Sumerian lore, factions of Anunnaki began to rebel. They demanded a solution from their leaders, Enki, the god of wisdom and science, and Enlil, the god of authority and command. It was Enki who proposed the unthinkable. Let us fashion a worker. Let us create a being who will bear the load of labor, who will toil in our stead. And thus, the plan to create humankind was set into motion. The genetic engineering of humanity. The Sumerians spoke of it in metaphorical terms, but modern readers cannot miss the eerie familiarity. Enki and his team of scientists, the Anunnaki geneticists, took the raw material of life already present on Earth and manipulated it. At first, they tried with the existing hominids that roamed the plains, primitive creatures, strong but not intelligent enough. Many attempts failed. The early prototypes were grotesque mixtures, half-conscious, unable to reproduce. But finally, after repeated trials, the Anunnaki perfected their creation, a being we know as Homo sapiens. This was not a natural evolution, according to the ancient narrative. It was a genetic upgrade. Through direct manipulation of DNA and advanced techniques akin to what we today might call in vitro fertilization, they altered the hominids, granting them intelligence, language, and consciousness. We were born not merely as children of Earth, but as the engineered offspring of gods. The texts describe a great event, the moment when humans first became aware. The goddess pinched off clay, mixed it with the blood of a god, and fashioned man. While myth cloaks the truth in symbols, many believe this passage describes a literal event of genetic engineering, a merging of Anunnaki DNA with the clay of Earth. The culture of the Anunnaki reflected in humanity. But the Anunnaki did not simply create humanity and depart. They remained among us, shaping our societies, teaching us agriculture, astronomy, and law. The Sumerian tablets describe in detail how kingship descended from heaven. To the Sumerians, their rulers were not chosen men. They were appointed by the gods. And here lies one of the most unsettling ideas. The patriarchal culture of dominance, hierarchy, and violence that has haunted humanity may not be entirely our own invention. It may be an inheritance passed down from the Anunnaki themselves. Their society was rife with rivalries and power struggles. Enlil, stern and authoritarian, believed humans were mere tools, slaves to be used and discarded. Enki, more compassionate, saw potential in humanity and often acted as our protector. Their sibling rivalry spilled over into the world of men, reflected in wars, dynasties, and religions. Even our myths, the Great Flood, the Garden of Eden, the Tower of Babel, echo stories of the Anunnaki and their interventions. The War of the Gods, Anunnaki versus Draconians. The Anunnaki were not the only advanced beings to take an interest in Earth. According to esoteric traditions, another powerful race, the Draconians, also set their eyes on our planet. Where the Anunnaki sought resources and workforce, the Draconians sought dominance, power, and control. Thus began a silent war, not fought with swords and spears, but with manipulation, influence, and genetic claims. Humanity, caught in the middle, became both prize and pawn. The Draconians, reptilian in nature, were said to thrive on fear and control. The Anunnaki, though equally domineering, saw us as their creation, their legacy. This rivalry continues in whispers even today, some claiming that the factions battling behind the curtain of global events are not merely human at all, but extensions of these ancient, star-born dynasties. The legacy of the Anunnaki in human history. Everywhere we look, traces of the Anunnaki linger. Egypt, the gods, Osiris, Isis, and Horus, bear striking parallels to Anunnaki figures. The precision of the pyramids suggests knowledge beyond human capacity of the time. Mesoamerica, the Mayan gods descended from the sky, gifted calendars and astronomical wisdom eerily accurate even by today's standards. India, the Vedic texts speak of beings who traveled in flying machines, the Vimanas, and who waged wars that sound like descriptions of nuclear blasts. Africa, the Dogon tribe knew of Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye, long before modern telescopes confirmed its existence. The Anunnaki's fingerprints are everywhere, not as myth, but as memory. Their possible return, the Watchers in the sky. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of the Anunnaki story is that it is not finished. If Nibiru truly follows a 3,600-year orbit, then the cycle of return is inevitable. Ancient kings feared these times, for they believed the lords of the sky would come back to review their creation. Some say this return already happened in subtle ways, in the rise of sudden technological leaps, in the whispers of contact, in the sightings of massive celestial objects at the edges of our solar system. Others believe the true return is still ahead, and with it will come a reckoning. Would they return as rulers, demanding tribute from their creation? Would they come as saviors, lifting humanity into the stars? Or would they judge us unworthy and wipe the slate clean once again? The human question, slaves or heirs? At the heart of the Anunnaki story lies a haunting question. What are we to them? Are we merely slaves, engineered to labor in their stead? Are we experiments watched from afar to see if we flourish or fail? Or are we children, a younger race designed to one day inherit both Earth and the stars? The ancient texts give conflicting answers. Enlil saw us as expendable. Enki saw us as his children. Perhaps within these two opposing visions lies the truth of humanity's struggle, caught between servitude and freedom, between subjugation and self-realization. Conclusion: the Anunnaki within us. Whether myth, history, or hidden truth, the story of the Anunnaki forces us to look at humanity with new eyes. We are not merely creatures of Earth. We are a hybrid species, carrying within us the legacy of another world. Their culture of hierarchy, their hunger for power, their brilliance, and their violence, all of it echoes in human history. Wars, empires, religions, technologies, much of it bears the stamp of our creators. And yet, within us also lies something else. The spark of freedom, creativity, and love, qualities that even the Anunnaki could not control. Perhaps this is our true gift, the one thing that sets us apart, and may one day allow us to transcend not only our creators, but the cycles of domination that bind us. The Anunnaki story is not merely about aliens from a distant world. It is about us, our past, our present, and our possible future. For if they truly are watching, if Nibiru once again arcs silently toward our skies, then the greatest question of all will soon demand an answer. Will we kneel as slaves or rise as heirs? Among all the species said to interact with humankind, none evoke such fear, awe, and primal unease as the Alpha-Draconians. Corrupt, vicious, and ancient beyond comprehension, the Alpha-Draconians are described as the oldest reptilian race in our galaxy. They are not newcomers, not wandering explorers, not curious scientists dipping a finger into Earth's evolutionary pot. They are conquerors, tyrants of the stars, who allegedly claim dominion not just over humanity, but over countless worlds across the Milky Way. If the stories are true, then their presence on Earth stretches back thousands of years, perhaps tens of thousands. Their infiltration so deep that their influence has seeped into every institution of human civilization, religion, governance, economics, and even the stories we tell ourselves about power, war, and fear. The image of a dragon or serpent as an enemy of humankind is nearly universal in mythology. Could these myths be faint memories, distorted echoes of an ancient reality, that of domination by the reptilian overlords we now call the Alpha-Draconians? This is their story, or at least the version of it passed down through contactees, whistleblowers, ancient records, and fragments of lore whispered from the shadows of secrecy. Origins of the Alpha-Draconians. The Alpha-Draconians are said to originate from the Alpha Draconis system, also known as Thuban, in the constellation of Draco, though contactees insist that this is not their true homeworld, but rather one of their many colonies. Their original cradle of life remains unknown, shrouded in mystery, perhaps destroyed in ancient wars, or concealed deliberately to protect the secrets of their beginnings. What is known, however, is their claim of primacy. They view themselves as the first intelligent species to have evolved in the Milky Way galaxy, a claim that underpins their arrogance, superiority complex, and unrelenting drive to dominate. If one believes their own proclamations, then every species that followed, humans included, are lesser creations, secondary experiments of evolution, or, in their eyes, slaves awaiting their masters. The Draconians, according to contactee Alex Collier, are not simply another alien species. They are the architects of repression across the galaxy. They instill fear-based belief systems, enforce restrictive hierarchies, and crush freedom wherever it dares to sprout. They are master manipulators of both physical reality and spiritual domains, known for their clairvoyant powers and frighteningly cunning intelligence. Biology of a reptilian titan. When one hears the term reptilian, it's easy to imagine a humanoid lizard or snake, but the Alpha-Draconians defy such simplistic imagery. They are giants, a decidedly monstrous reptilian species that dwarfs human beings in every sense. Reports describe their size as ranging from 14 to 22 feet tall, weighing up to 1,800 pounds of raw muscle. Their physical bulk alone makes them intimidating, but their physiology enhances that terror. Skin and scales. They possess black or leathery brown scales, with rough underbellies that resemble the armored plating of Earth's crocodiles. Facial features. Their heads are large, with prominent ridges, whisker-like protrusions along their chins and jaw lines, and eyes described as glowing, piercing, and distinctly reptilian, slit pupils, unblinking, and cold. Multiple abdomens. Some accounts mention multiple abdominal sections, giving them a segmented, almost insectoid reptilian hybrid appearance. Limbs and tails. Certain Draconians are said to possess tails, and even wings, a throwback perhaps to their ancestral evolution. If true, this would make them the only surviving genetic line of their ancestry, while other winged reptilian offshoots went extinct. The comparison to a Tyrannosaurus rex is often made, but such a description might actually downplay their menace. Unlike the lumbering dinosaurs of Earth, the Draconians are highly intelligent, agile for their size, and frighteningly clever in battle and strategy. A reptilian society built on duality. The Draconians reproduce by laying eggs, but what makes their reproductive system unique is their use of a battle hormone that accelerates the birthing process. This biology has direct consequences for their society and its rigid gender roles. Females. The ancestral females are considered vital to reproduction, as they must remain to secrete the hormone necessary for successful hatching. As a result, they are largely excluded from war. This is not out of mercy or progressivism, but out of brutal practicality. Without females tending to eggs, the species itself would collapse. Males. Dominating the battlefield and society, males are trained as warriors, commanders, and rulers. Their aggression is chemically and culturally reinforced, leading to a deeply militaristic civilization. This duality explains why their society thrives on conquest and expansion. Every new colony, every new subject race, becomes both a source of resources and a means to expand their genetic legacy. Caste system, Royal Tiakar and Warrior class. The Alpha-Draconians are divided into two main castes. The Tiakar, Royal caste. These are the giants, often described as 20+ feet tall, belonging to the ruling elite. They are said to have wings, giving rise to the image of the Dragon Lords. Their intelligence, clairvoyance, and psychic dominance make them both political rulers and spiritual tyrants, enforcing absolute control over their subjects. The Tiakar see themselves not merely as rulers of the Draconian Empire, but as rightful sovereigns of the galaxy. The Warrior caste. Standing at around 7 to 9 feet tall, these are the enforcers of Draconian will. They form the armies, fleets, and occupation forces that impose Draconian dominance on other worlds. Trained for obedience and ruthlessness, they embody the cold efficiency of a predator that views all prey as expendable. This caste system ensures that power is centralized in the hands of the Tiakar, while the warriors carry out their vision of galactic conquest. The Draconian philosophy, domination as destiny. What makes the Alpha-Draconians so terrifying is not just their size or power, it is their mindset. They are utterly convinced of their superiority and see domination not as cruelty, but as destiny. They believe that freedom is chaos, and only through hierarchy and repression can order be maintained. They view humanity as an inferior, experimental species. At best, livestock to be farmed. At worst, pests to be exterminated. Their galactic empire is built on fear, control, and exploitation, with conquered races serving as either slave labor or genetic stock. Unlike other alien species rumored to interact with Earth, such as the Syrians or the Arcturians, who sometimes act as teachers or guardians, the Draconians do not see themselves as our mentors. They see themselves as our owners. The Alpha-Draconians and Earth. If the testimonies are true, then the Alpha-Draconians' relationship with Earth is both ancient and sinister. Many researchers and contactees believe they were present long before recorded history, shaping early human civilizations in ways we can barely imagine. Religious influence. The serpent, dragon, or reptile as an adversary is nearly universal across world religions. In Christianity, Satan takes the form of a serpent in Eden. In Hinduism, the Nagas are both feared and revered serpent beings. In Chinese culture, dragons embody power and authority. Could these myths be cultural memories of draconian encounters? Political control. Conspiracy theorists argue that reptilians infiltrated human governments and institutions long ago, installing themselves or their human hybrid proxies in positions of power. Economic manipulation. They are said to have engineered financial systems to keep humanity enslaved through debt, scarcity, and dependency. Fear-based systems, war, oppression, and authoritarian regimes may all be expressions of draconian influence, feeding on human suffering as a form of psychic sustenance. Contactee testimonies. The most detailed accounts of the Alpha-Draconians come from contactees such as Alex Collier, who claims direct telepathic communication with extraterrestrials. Collier has described the Draconians in chilling terms. The Draconians are the force behind the repression of human populations everywhere in this galaxy, instilling fear-based belief systems and restrictive hierarchies. They're extremely clairvoyant and extremely clever, and they can also be extremely sinister. Others describe abduction experiences in which towering reptilian figures oversee experiments, commanding the smaller greys or hybrid beings as though they were mere servants. These testimonies, while often dismissed by mainstream science, share eerie consistency in their depictions of dominance, coldness, and an almost predatory aura. The Alpha-Draconians versus other alien races. The Draconians are not uncontested in their claim over Earth. They are said to be in direct competition with other extraterrestrial groups. The Anunnaki, another powerful race of gods linked to human origins. The Anunnaki and Draconians are often depicted as rivals battling for control over humanity. The Syrians and Arcturians, races often described as benevolent, working to uplift humanity and counterbalance draconian oppression. The Greys. Though feared by humans, the Greys are sometimes described as subordinates or allies of the Draconians, carrying out abductions and genetic experiments under their supervision. This cosmic chessboard paints Earth not as a free world, but as a contested prize in a much larger galactic struggle. Humanity's role in the Draconian agenda. Why do the Draconians care about us at all? If they are so advanced, why not simply conquer Earth openly and enslave humanity? The answer, according to many theories, lies in a combination of resources, genetics, and control. Resources. Earth is rich in water, minerals, and biological diversity, an abundant treasure chest for any interstellar empire. Genetics. Human DNA is considered valuable, possibly due to its adaptability, spiritual potential, or connections to other star races. The Draconians may be exploiting our genetics for hybridization or military purposes. Control through secrecy. An open invasion would create resistance. Subtle infiltration and manipulation allow them to harvest resources and maintain control without sparking a unified human rebellion. Myths, legends, and the shadow of dragons. Throughout human culture, dragons, serpents, and reptilian adversaries appear again and again. Is this coincidence, archetype, or memory? Chinese dragons, symbols of imperial power and cosmic order, echoes of Shiakar overlords. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god of Mesoamerica, was he a draconian or a rival species misremembered? Saint George and the Dragon, a mythic tale of a hero slaying a dragon, perhaps symbolic of human resistance to reptilian control. If myths are indeed distorted memories, then humanity may have been locked in a struggle against draconian overlords for millennia, our legends encoding warnings for future generations. Conclusion: the shadow above us. The Alpha-Draconians are not simply another alien species in the catalog of ufology. They are the archetype of tyranny itself, the dragon in our myths, the serpent in our religions, the shadow behind our governments. Whether one views them as literal extraterrestrials, symbolic representations of human fears, or some fusion of both, their story resonates because it touches on something primal. The idea that we are not free, that unseen masters manipulate our societies from the shadows, strikes at the core of human dignity. And whether these masters are ancient reptilian overlords or our own corrupted elites wearing the mask of dragons, the effect is the same: repression, control, and the slow erosion of freedom. But the myths also remind us of something else: the hero who slays the dragon, the people who rise up against tyranny, the spark of freedom that refuses to die. Perhaps the true danger of the Alpha-Draconians is not merely their domination, but the way they force us to confront our own capacity for submission or resistance. Conclusion: a hidden cosmic chessboard. When we step back and look at the stories, legends, testimonies, and whispered accounts surrounding the alien species said to have walked among us, the Greys, the Syrians, the Tall Greys, the Reptilians, the Anunnaki, and the mighty Alpha-Draconians, a larger picture begins to emerge. It is not simply the tale of isolated visitors who happen to cross paths with humanity. Rather, it is the unfolding of a cosmic chessboard, one where Earth has long been a contested prize, a jewel in the void of space, guarded, manipulated, uplifted, and oppressed by hands we can scarcely see. The narratives of these beings weave a pattern: the short Greys, engineered workers who carry out abductions and medical experiments; the Tall Greys, cold ambassadors who look upon humanity as property; the Syrians, ancient benefactors whose fingerprints may still linger in the ruins of Atlantis and the mysteries of the Mayans; the native reptilians, hidden in plain sight, shaping economies, politics, and religions from the shadows; the Anunnaki, progenitors of humankind, creators of civilizations and cultures, yet embroiled in a rivalry for dominion; and the Alpha-Draconians, colossal predators whose hunger for control stretches across galaxies. If these accounts hold even a fragment of truth, then our history is not our own. The wars we have fought, the religions we have built, the technologies we pride ourselves on, and even the very design of our DNA may have been orchestrated by forces beyond the stars. Humanity, far from being an isolated species evolving in quiet solitude, may instead be the offspring of genetic architects, molded for purposes still not fully revealed. Yet, amid all the manipulation, something extraordinary persists. human beings have endured. Despite abductions, despite hidden rulers, despite the games played by cosmic powers, there remains within humanity a spark, a stubborn flame of free will, creativity, and resilience. Unlike the hive-minded Greys or the hierarchical Draconians, we are fractured, chaotic, and unpredictable. And it is precisely this unpredictability, this refusal to be wholly tamed, that may one day become our greatest strength. The conclusion, then, is not one of despair, but of awareness. If the Syrians once shared knowledge, perhaps they foresaw a future in which we would awaken to our true origins. If the Anunnaki shaped our beginnings, perhaps they underestimated our potential to grow beyond their control. If the reptilians and draconians built systems of oppression, perhaps they also sowed the seeds of their own downfall. For the more a species seeks control, the more it underestimates the power of rebellion. In the end, whether these beings are myth, misunderstood archetypes, or genuine extraterrestrial powers, they serve as a mirror. They force us to ask, who truly owns Earth? Who truly defines humanity? Maybe, just maybe, the answer is shifting. Perhaps the very reason these alien forces continue to meddle is because they sense that humanity is on the verge of something greater, a leap in consciousness, a breaking of the chains that have bound us for millennia. The game on the cosmic chessboard is far from over, and so, the stories of the Greys, the Syrians, the Reptilians, the Anunnaki, and the Draconians are not just tales of otherworldly beings, they are warnings. They are whispers of our forgotten past and glimpses of possible futures. They remind us that we are not alone, that we never have been, and that the real question is not whether aliens control us, but whether we will finally take control of ourselves. Humanity stands at a crossroads. One path leads to continued servitude under powers we barely understand. The other leads to awakening, to reclaiming the inheritance hidden deep in our DNA, to becoming not pawns, but players in the vast galactic drama. The choice, as it always has been, rests not in their hands, but in ours. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. I love hearing from you. Check out more videos on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.